Hi there, my name is Aideen Glynn and it's an absolutely beautiful day here in Cork, so I hope you're all getting outside and enjoying some sunshine. I'm just waiting for people to jump on there. Hello, hi. I'm amazed so many of you are going to go and paint when it's so sunny. It's really hot here in my studio. I hope you're all having... Hello, hi there. Oh, lovely to see you all joining. So this is going to be my last live painting for a while, and the reason why is I really enjoy them, but I need to give more time to my own painting because I find it kind of takes a lot of my energy, even though I absolutely love them as well. So, and also the weather is so good. I think maybe you all want to take off now that we can move a little bit more, head off to the beach, to the seaside, go, but we'll do it again. And I love the feedback, so please feel free to give me your comments and suggestions. It's great, I really enjoy that. So, hi Chloe, lovely to see you all joining. So I'm just going to show you, so this is, oh yes, I thought, because I asked you a few weeks ago what you'd like, and some of you wanted coal wax and some of you wanted to continue doing the acrylics. So I thought I'd do one more of the acrylics. If you remember, we worked on these boards 2 weeks ago, and acrylic dries. So we used acrylic with no water, so it was different. I've showed you a lot of the technique where I, really water it down and do drips and splatters, which I really enjoy. But this is a way of, I suppose, making acrylics be more like oil paint, where you have them really thick and you add absolutely no water. So these are the boards that I did with you. I actually must show you this. Is a beautiful little texture. I think, I can't actually remember what tool that was, but it was a little bit of a random mark, and it dried, and I love the texture it gave. So these dried, they were dry really quickly. And then actually I applied a thin coat of gesso. Gesso dries clear. So gesso is basically what I put on these boards. Sorry, I applied varnish. So gesso is these are wooden boards. They're like this. And I put gesso on them to make them, it's like a glue, so the paint will adhere to the surface. So you can buy sometimes boards that are already gessoed. If you buy a canvas, it's already got gesso on it, so you don't need to do this. Also, if you use paper, you don't need to do this. But I happen to have these boards, which I quite like because you can hang them. I tape the sides because I'm so messy and I like that kind of clean edge at the end. And gesso, you can buy it in a little tub, and I put that on. But I was varnishing this painting that I've been working on, but I had varnish, so I just put some on these. Varnish is clear. Now these aren't finished. The reason why I did this, because I got so many questions about it, is because acrylic is water-based, even though it's dry, if you add more layers and then you want to scrape off and dig through, you could actually dig right back through to the underneath level. So by varnishing this, it means that I won't go past this level. So whatever I add on and I remove, it'll always come back to this. I don't always do this, to be honest. I just was varnishing something else, so it seemed like a... but that's this other one, which I like as well. And it's amazing, they're the same colours. Oh, this was the little fun rainbow. And I actually scraped off some of it that was getting a bit muddy, and I like that too. But the way I paint is I do lots and lots of layers. So I would start with this, and then also this could end up being an oil painting. So any people were asking me about working with oil. You can use any old acrylic painting and turn it into an oil painting. The only rule is you can't put acrylic on top of oil, but you can always put oil on top, because that's the only rule, really. So thank you all for joining, and I'll show you what I have here. Oh yeah, so I have, it's actually easier when I'm not holding the camera. I love this tool here. It's for spreading out wallpaper. I found it in a DIY shop, and I use these a lot. I think there was like €4. These are catalyst wedges, so these you can actually buy in an art supply shop, and they're like a kind of a squeegee. But if you don't have anything like this, an old hotel card, which we may have lying around, or an old credit card, it's just that nice straight surface, and it's got a little bit of give, and it's really good for spreading and scraping paint. This is a little foam sponge we might use, and yeah, I have things like this that I use sometimes, old, they're for like plastering, and you can see it's gotten nice and dirty because I didn't clean it very well. I think this is something, oh yeah, that lovely mark in that painting I was showing you. This is a trowel for spreading out plaster, making marks. So, hi Rasha. It's lovely to see some familiar faces. Hi Michelle. Lovely to see you all joining, and hopefully some of you are painting. So, but I've saved all these to IGTV, and like this is my process. I start like this and then I just add on more and more layers. And what I'd say with painting is it actually just takes painting yourself to really learn what works for you. Hi Rasha. So I think in a way, I don't know if I've any more to share with you. I just work myself, you know, I put on music, and the more hours I spend painting, so it sounds kind of egotistical, the better the paintings get. Every painting gets better than the last one, and you learn from your mistakes. You learn so much from all the things that go wrong. They're like your best teacher, really. So I'm going to so let's dive in. I'll show you what I have here, and then I'll put so I'm going to have the camera overhead because I have a little tripod set up here, and I won't see any of your comments. So if you have questions, you know, maybe put them in at the end, or you can send me, I'll put up a question box as well on Instagram. And if you're watching this later as well, that's absolutely fine because it's such a gorgeous day. So let me just take you out here now. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I think this is the right direction, is it? So I have, I'm so disorganized. This is a Stay Wet palette. This is what I'll make with you. So I keep the kitchen paper. You can see this is there, oh, months and months, and it's dried out. I can add more water. And then if I use this for a while, and then I just lift off the top layer of, this is tracing paper, but any kind of waxy paper would work. This one I prepared, I thought I'd be organized. You can see how old that is, but it works totally well. There are my panels and my tools. I might actually dig in and add some of these crayons as well, and some paint, water, which I'll only be using for the Stay Wet palette. So that's it. So I'm just going to pop you overhead here, and I was kind of doing something else last night, so I haven't really set this up properly. So what you might do is, if you can see everything, throw up some hearts so I know that you can see everything in the screen. Let's see if this works. So, my goodness, it's amazing. This time last year, I don't think I'd even gone live, and I still get nervous every time. A little bit nervous. Now, can you see? Okay, what I need you to see is, I need you to see these, where my hands are here, and maybe a little bit of this. So can you see, or do I need to adjust it? Maybe move things a little bit. Can you see enough, do you think? Maybe the camera angle is a bit funny. Okay, I think it's missing. This is most awkward. Is that better? Can you see? Yeah, I'm getting some hearts. I think you can see okay. Okay, so let's start. I'm putting on my gloves first because a quick sip of coffee. And I hope you're all well. And oh, I wanted to show you this. I was doing some painting on paper for a charity event, and I masked off and I removed the masking tape, and I just think this is absolutely gorgeous. This bit here, isn't that gorgeous? I love working in layers, and you know, removing the tape was great. I might show it to you at the end. I'm not sure where I put it. So let's get started. My gloves on first. And so I hope you're all got your, those of you, if you're doing it for the first time and you want to paint, you could do this on paper, on canvas, and anything you have. Okay, so the Stay Wet palette. This is an old tray I got from Deals, and this is some well-used kitchen paper. It dries out and you can just use it again. So I try and reuse and recycle. Just get it nice and wet, and then put on some, this is tracing paper, sorry, not tissue paper, tracing paper. So it's kind of a waxy paper, and you press it down, and that is a stay wet palette. If this dries out, you can just keep adding more water to the underneath layer. When you're finished with your paint, put cling film on top of it, and it'll keep it for quite a, so I probably just use one actually. Put this here out of the way. It's like the most bizarre cookery show. And white is the colour I use most, so I'm going to add, because you can mix it with everything else, and if things are getting a bit dark, you can add white. I went for a walk just before coming up here to paint, and it is just gorgeous outside. Oh look, that's a lovely colour. This is Opera Rose. It's kind of almost a fluorescent pink. And this is, so I use different brands, but Liquitex is a good brand. It's a kind of a, it's got more pigment in it. This is a nice yellow green. Well, actually the last time I didn't mix enough paint. So I often, it's more economical to buy paint in larger quantities, in bigger tubes. With some brands it's difficult to get them. Actually, I might show you how to do a glaze. So that's the varnish I used for Liquitex varnish, and I just put it on with a sponge. Really easy. So at the end, if you're finished with your work, this was a matte varnish I used, but you could use gloss or satin if you prefer that. I kind of like matte. This is a glazing medium. So people were asking me about mediums. I'm just going to throw a little bit down here. Maybe we'll use it. So a glaze basically thins out your paint. I think you can see everything. It thins out your paint, so you can, without using water, so it gives you the pigment. I suppose if you add water with acrylic, it can get very diluted, which is the way I've been showing you before. But when you want to have a bit of depth, so this is a gold. I quite like this as a glaze. So I'll put it up here, and some blues. This is a bigger tube. Squeezing, love paint so much. I'm just always so impatient to get into paint, and I find working with colour. Well, I picked this one up just to try something different. I haven't used this one in a while. If you're not sure about a colour, just look at the tube as well to see what it looks like. So it's and maybe a darker blue. At this stage I had just grabbed some colours. I of course had the luxury of having a lot of paint. And I'm going to add the yellow. I'm going to keep the yellow down here. And maybe a darker pink. These are Sennelier abstract pouches. I got these in Evans Art Supply in Dublin. They're quite handy for working one-handed, so if you're in the middle of a painting and you need to grab something, it's very easy to squeeze out the pouch. This is another one like that. But, you know, all paint is good, and this is actually a very loaded up palette. So I might yet use my second one. So I'm going to start off by being organised and mixing a little bit of paint. I've got some kitchen paper, or, you know, J-cloth, an old. So like this, the colours are very saturated. They're very, very bright. So if you put on your colours straight like this, it'll jar slightly because they look too vibrant. They don't look like they look in nature. They look more, I suppose, like a child would paint. Or so basically what you want to do is dirty them slightly, blend them slightly to make them a little bit more like in nature. So you could do that with your white. So this is the Opera Rose with some white. That's nice. Again, I haven't got enough I like that. So I'm not mixing it totally because I might use some of the darker side. And if I was organized now, I'd have several. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, rather than wasting the paint in my palette on this, I'm just going to put a bit here, and I can use this later. So I'm scraping it directly onto the board. So and then there's less to wipe off. Or what you could do is, what I do with my oil paint is I'd have several of these on the go and I'd leave them to the side like this, so they're ready loaded. And I think this magenta, maybe a bit of this pink. Now you can see already this is, the colors are less vibrant, less saturated. So saturated is when it comes directly out of your tube. And I'm just going to put this here. Not really thinking too much about how I'm putting it. I'm just now these blues are too vivid, and I'd like a pale blue, I think. It's nice. Mixing paint is so satisfying, actually. Somebody suggested to me actually that I could have had this part all done so we could get straight into the painting, but actually this part kind of soothes me, I suppose. So I'm just going to mix a bit with this, and then I'm going to mix a bit with this. So I'm using my blues from one to the other to mix them slightly. So I'm muting the saturation. I'm mudding them a little bit until I get to. Don't know if I like this turquoisey color that much, and I could always go up here because pink, you know, this would become like a purple if I wanted to. Don't really like that at all. I'm not even going to scrape that on my. And then, so when I move between different kind of colors, so like your yellow and your green, if you mix them with your pink, that would get very muddy and brown. So I'm going to, so rather than adding the white to the green, I'm going to add yellow to it to keep it kind of sunny, because if I add it directly to the, so I'm going to go for a yellowy green. Oh, I like this. That's nice, isn't it? Very nice. So I'm going to add some of this here over my rainbow because I like it. So what I'm doing when I'm throwing them on the board like this is I'm actually finding where there's already the color and I'm adding it to it. So there was a little bit of that green along there. So that's why, and there's also some white, so I'm just covering over the white. And then I think I'll add some blue to this to make it like a darker green. Now, to be honest, when I'm painting myself, I'm not usually this organized. I don't always mix all my paints in advance. So you can see how less vibrant the green is now. It's kind of slightly duller. So that will make it more, I suppose, satisfying to the eye, more appealing. So this is a bit of the glazing medium, and I'm just going to mix this with the gold. So this, all this does is it's like water. It thins it. It makes it transparent. So a little bit like how I'd add the wax, actually. It just makes it transparent. So sometimes I do this kind of thing. And you could do that with any color. And I have this loaded up. So I'm just going to add this over this kind of white area, just to show you what it looks like. So it would, this is actually very similar to how I work with wax. I put on texture and then I put thin transparent layers over it. So you can see the gold is going, glaze is going over the blue and it's becoming green. It's going over the white and it's much more yellowy. Okay, so I think we should start painting. So I hope some of you are painting with me. So I'll move my board this side, and I've got my little 3 panels I was working on. So I suppose that's it. Whether I'm working with acrylic or I'm working with oil paint, the way I work is I just keep adding layers. And I mean, God, there's some paintings now I've been working on for months and months, a year sometimes. Move my water out of the way. So yeah, I think you can you see okay? I think you can see. Actually, you know what I'll do this time is I'll move I'll move it this way so you can see the paintings on the top better. Okay, I think you can see there. Okay, so I put on some, so I'm just adding layers. I'm not really, at the beginning, I kind of been acting very instinctually, I suppose. I'm not thinking too much. I'm just responding to what I've already done. So this had a lot of pink and green, so I'm going to go in with more pink and green and white. Actually, I need more white because I used up a lot of the white for mixing already. So white, if you're painting, it's definitely worth buying bigger tubes of white, you know, this kind of size of white, even if you've got small of everything else, because it's the color I use most frequently. And then with black, I tend to mix black maybe with the dark red and blue rather than doing a black out of the packet. And I'm going to put some white here. Okay, so I am just going to take a tool now and actually what I'll do first is I'm going to work this way, blend these a little bit. It's nice. So you can see that already, because I spread it quite thinly, the layers underneath you can kind of see. And then I'm going to take my green and I'm using my wallpaper. What I like about this is it's the same, it's larger than my panel. So you can have a small tool like this and you have to do several sweeps, whereas this allows me to do, it's like a large squeegee. If you don't have something like this, a squeegee for cleaning your shower would work really well as well. And then you basically, I do something and then I think I actually don't like it. I preferred the pink and I don't like this hot yellow green, so I'm just going to go down. I can see already that's getting kind of yellowy. And if you don't like something as well, you can just remove. So I don't like the green. So I'm just adding, removing, building, and I think it needs more pink. So you can also use your palette knife. So I have added no water at all to this paint, because if I do, it'll just get too diluted. Oh yeah, I prefer that more. I prefer that darker pink. Now this has got green on it, so I need to now clean this catalyst, because if I spread it directly like that, the green and the pink will start going yellowy browny like this section here, and I want to work with a bit more. There's a little bit, if you can see, there's a little bit of thick paint here, so I'm just moving it down this way. So I like that now, and what I like this part more than down here. So what I'm going to do is, while this paint is wet, I'm going to take something to make a mark. So I'm going to try this whatever it is, plaster trowel or something. It's something for, you know, tiling or plastering. I'm just going to press it here. Actually didn't leave much of a mark. I'll try this. So that's just removing, and maybe I'll try an old brush. This is like a brush for, I suppose for cleaning, and it's nice and dirty because I didn't clean it very well. So that leaves, so those marks now, if you can see, are digging through that paint, the layers underneath. You know, not that sure about that. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to cover over that a bit. Where was I? Here. So I'm just going to, I've cleaned this, and I'm just going to take, actually I'm dipping my paint in a bit more of this pink, and I'm going to go down over this. Now that, I like that more. So it's blended slightly. And there's something interesting happening. It's very much one color, but this I need to let dry, leave to one side now, because if I do anything more, I'm going to remove, all these marks will disappear. So I'm going to leave that to one side. So that's kind of the way I work. I just do, you know, I work on multiple panels because I can only do a few marks, and then particularly with acrylic you need to let it dry, or it gets, I need to clean these tools now because they're kind of, though I've left them to the side because maybe I've got the green, so I might just stay with this. Though I don't, okay, I'm just going to go over this and see what happens. You know what I'm thinking I might do, I actually liked that rainbow. I like the way it's going over, it's still revealing. Do I have a brush to hand here? I do. I might just do another one of those rainbows over this because I enjoy doing that so much. Build a rainbow on a rainbow. So sometimes I leave, if you've got a few tools, you see how much paint is on this, rather than wiping it off. Though you know what, I'm actually going to remove it because I don't like this green I've mixed. It's too, so I'm just going to scratch it off here. And by doing that now, it's revealing a little bit of the colour underneath. So when you're painting, it's painting intuitively, but you're also you're making decisions all the time. You know, you're evaluating what you like and what you don't like. Now, what I really like of everything I've done so far is the glaze over that texture. You can see how rich and how interesting that is. There's something happening there. So while I'm painting the other ones, I've laid down here, and I'm thinking, what do I do next? Because this part is interesting. And what do I do up here? I know I want to keep this. So I've just noticed recently that how similar that is. I suppose that makes sense, that even working in different medium, you kind of paint the same way. I don't like that. I'm just going to go over. And that's maybe better. Oh yeah, you can see that the pink with the blue is more interesting there. Of course, the worst thing, I'm very bad at just working on a tiny bit of a painting. I can't just go in and, when I was working on the painting behind me, I don't know if you saw it there, I can't just go in and do a little piece of painting. I end up redoing the whole thing. That's the way I work. I suppose I add a layer. It's a whole new layer. So my paintbrush, I'm going to put another rainbow on this. Hopefully you can see, because that was so fun. Hardly any paint left in this, and I have to go, and it is, you use up so much paint. And if you're doing this kind of a rainbow on a big brush, oh god, actually somebody messaged me, an art teacher, she says she does it with her children in school, which would be amazing to do that, because it's just so fun, and you're also using something, I think there's something kind of almost, I think we're brought up to be careful with our supplies, I suppose, with materials. So working this way is so lavish. You're using so much paint that it feels kind of so naughty, or you know, it feels, well, it's fun. I love it. That's why I'm doing it. And white. White will just keep everything clean. So I've gone for just pinks and blues, and I'm just going to go in and do a wiggle. Move this out of the way so I have a little bit of space. Actually, I'll swap these around. So where to go? That's the decision now. There's an interesting rainbow down here, and I've added a little bit of paint here, so this is already quite wet, so I'm going to move my rainbow around this side. And I find when I'm working building layers, I often do the same thing, you know, I build the same color. So I worked with greens and pink in this one. This one's very blue, so I'll probably keep this blue and pink. So I tend to build layers, but I tend to respond to what's there. So you just flip over your brush and you just go for a little gentle wiggle and see what happens. Oh, I love this. And the further on you go, the more it's mixing, because the less. Oh, that's very interesting. Now I'm going down to my muddy area, the area that's wet, so it might get a bit muddy there. I love it. This pleases me no end. And you know what? I have this loaded up. I'm going to do the same on this part here. Now there's less paint. So it's so different because it's already blended in. So we're building, I'm covering over the rainbow that's there, adding more. And this part, you can see this part here is really thick where I started, and then it blurs and blends. So this part here is really thick, so I need to do more. I need to do something with this, so I'm just going to see how much paint. And so this is why it's good to have a few things on the go, because you can move from one to the other. So I'm trying to work on the areas that are dry. Now the only thing that's not working for me with this is it looks like two separate paintings now. I've got this lovely gold textured section, and I've got this, so it's not unified. I need to do something bigger and bolder and not be as careful. Might just tapping out some marks there. That's about all I can do with this now. I need to clean it. Well, actually, before I do that, there's a little bit here that has no paint, and I can see in the center there's a big blob there, so I'm just going to swirl that over here. Oh, I love, if you can see here how thick it is here, it's almost like a ridge of paint, which makes me want to move it. So I'm just going to break through the rainbow. So it's all different marks. I liked that. I might do that again. Break through the rainbow. Oh, look at this. So beautiful. So this, the gold I like, and it's a bit separate, so I'm going to take a clean tool. I'm going to take this wallpaper scraper, blender, spreader, whatever, and I like the gold part, and I'm going to just go this way and see if that unifies it. It may not work. There's not that much paint. Actually, maybe I should add a bit more. Just going to use my finger because I have no clean tools left. That's interesting. That's blended there. That's actually really nice. The section down here is not working so much. Lovely little peak. Look how much paint I've got. And you know what? I'm just going to see what happens. Now I'm going to lose all my lovely rainbow, but I'm just going to add all this paint here and just see what happens, because it's not going to work. I can see it's too much, so I'm going to have to sacrifice this. And I'm just going to scrape off what I added because it doesn't, it's too many colors. So I've just scraped off to what was underneath that green, and that's actually an interesting, if it's something you don't like, just scrape it off and you should return to what was there. Oh, look at that. Scraping through to the underneath paint. So that's why I did the, so I'm just going to take you out. We've been going for about half an hour here. This is about all I can do on these boards, and we can have a little chat. I'll show you what I take off my gloves. So how are you getting on? I hope that was fun. I hope you did some painting, and I'll just show you what I did here. So this was the board, the gold glaze, and this is interesting. This is really interesting. There's something happening here. That was the first one. The first one's always less successful because I think it takes you a while to get warmed up. And this is where I built up more rainbow and kind of blurred and blended. So it's so much paler than the others. And then my messy board, all my tools, all my bits. So that's what I have. I like this. Of the three now, this is my current favourite. And I just love those marks. So this needs to dry, because if I do anything more, it'll just get really mucky and messy. So I hope you have a lovely Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed these live painting sessions, and I hope it gives you some ideas for how you can paint yourself, and you know, things you can do and how simple it is. So I would just leave these dry. So the thing is, if you can work on more, or I might do this and then I might work onto paper, or I might move over and paint in oil. So even in half an hour, how much you can achieve. So I know for me, my big challenge is getting into my studio, but even if I get up for half an hour, how much you can do. I think the real thing is, like, I'm really lucky I have a space where I can leave all my paint, all my stuff out. I know a lot of you don't have a space, but even if you had a tray, if you had a large tray and you had your Stay Wet palette and a few bits of paints and something you're working on, it's easy to just lift it off from your dining room, your kitchen table, and return to it. So I think if you can have somewhere you can leave your work that you can return to, and if you just think, I've only got half an hour, we just did so much in half an hour. I could let these dry, I could return them to them tomorrow, tonight, and add more. And each layer you add will just build more interest, and the painting becomes richer and more interesting. Thank you everyone, and please send me what you did. So I'm sorry I'm taking a break because I really need to finish the paintings I've been working on since last October, November. I've been getting messages about them every day, and they're just not finished. And I want to, it's just so much in my head, and I just need that time painting. But it's so interesting working at the acrylics here. It makes me want to go back to acrylics now, and it seems to be a summer thing for me. I go from oils to acrylics, so I need to finish these oil paintings and release them, and then maybe go back to working with acrylics. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Please send me, I'd love to see snaps of what you did actually, and any questions. I'll put up a question box you can ask me. And thank you so much for joining me, and have a fabulous Sunday. Bye everybody.